Kailash was the one whose name was finalized or shortlisted against Atishi as who will take over as chief minister. And he lost out to Atishi, and you could sense, that on his face where he says, well, this is the decision, this has been taken, acceptable to all. Well, whether the leaders like it or not, Delhi has a new chief minister, and that name has been selected by none other than Arvind Kejriwal. It's going to be Atishi, who is now going to be the interim chief minister for Delhi. Let's cut across, getting in political opinion. Javed Ansari, senior journalist, joining us. Javed, it was expected all along that if it is going to be on the basis of governance, on the basis of administration, somebody who knows the bureaucracy, Atishi was the obvious choice.
Yes, all that, and the fact, a big plus factor in her favor was that she's a woman, she's highly educated, she's a Oxford alumni, a Rhodes Scholar, so everything weighing in her favor. But, like I said earlier, I'll repeat again, it matters little in the overall scheme of things. The fact is that it will be Mr. Kejriwal who will be the de facto CM. He will be the one who they will be taking their cue from. So whether it is Atishi or it would have been Mr. Gehlot, it's just a question of signaling, and he's tried to cater to the substantive women vote in the city, and so it's not a bad choice. But the administrator, while she'll be the face, it will be Mr. Kejriwal who'll be running the show.
The choice, Javed, was the main reason the sheer fact, of course, she's a woman, she's educated, but ultimately she has the administrative experience, knows the workings of the bureaucracy, which is very well entrenched where the LG office comes into a question. Above all, that she's seen as a hardcore Arvind Kejriwal loyalist. Do you think that trumped it in the end?
Absolutely, because she doesn't have a base of her own. She doesn't have a support base or a caste base of her own. She's risen because of Mr. Kejriwal's support, and she was seen as the one who would be would pose the least threat, who would not do a champaram. So therefore, that's the reason why Mr. Gujral was made prime minister. That's the reason why Mr. Deve Gowda was chosen as prime minister way back, and that's what is weighed in favor of, I believe, weighed in favor of Atishi.
If you go back a long way, it's quite interesting, Javed, because she hasn't been part of the Anna Hazare movement. She was bought in by the likes of Yogendra Yadav, Prashant Bhushan, and today both Yogendra Yadav, Prashant Bhushan are not in the scheme of things, and Atishi has now risen as the de facto number 2 or number 3 after Manish Sisodia.
Well, it is, and that's how the cookie crumbles in politics. This is politics. Sometimes the front runners, the ones who appear more prominently in the media, don't often make it. It's not just true of Aam Aadmi Party, it's true of most. Who would have ever thought that Mr. Khattar would be chief minister? Who would have ever thought that the present vice president would make it to the vice president's chair? So these are politicians often pull a rabbit out of the hat, and Atishi is one such, is the most recent example.
Well, you are right there. To give our viewers a little bit of perspective, back in 2015, viewers, if you remember, when the Aam Aadmi Party had expelled some of its founding members, and notably those of Yogendra Yadav and Prashant Bhushan, the future then of Atishi was on weak grounds, because she was perceived, by the likes of Arvind Kejriwal and Manish Sisodia very, very close to both Yogendra Yadav and Prashant Bhushan. But having said that, she stayed on with the party, even though the founding members, were expelled, and then moved on to form a strong relationship, a working relationship with Manish Sisodia, who practically groomed her where the education department was concerned and other portfolios, blooded her into, governance, because Manish Sisodia was handling a lot at that point of time. Arvind Kejriwal was looking at the larger footprint of Aam Aadmi Party across India. There was a lot of weight on Manish Sisodia's shoulder, and he thought that Atishi was capable of sharing that load with. He groomed her as his, second and de facto, and then when he went to jail, Atishi very quickly slipped into that role and took in all the responsibilities because she was already groomed and blooded into it. And similarly, once Arvind Kejriwal went to jail, her rise was imminent there. But Javed, do you see her just as an interim chief minister right now? What role do you see Arvind Kejriwal play from here on?
Well, Arvind Kejriwal is the face of the Aam Aadmi Party. He's the poster boy. It is under his name that they will approach the elections. He will be the one who will be fronting this campaign. So he remains the numero uno. And the other thing that appears to have has worked in Atishi's favor is that she's not a greenhorn administratively. She's not a babe in the woods. She's not a Rabdi Devi. Rabdi Devi was catapulted into the chief minister's chair when Lalu was jailed for the first time, and she was totally out of her depth. In Atishi's case, that will not be true because Atishi has had a run-in. She's had time to find her feet, and she's done a reasonably decent job as a minister.
All right, above all, in all of this, what really trumps it for Atishi has been her loyalty and her blind allegiance to Arvind Kejriwal. Why I say that, viewers, I will just, explain it a little. When we just told you that, she was perceived to be closer to the founding members like Yogendra Yadav, Prashant Bhushan, 2015, they get expelled. There were a lot of doubts over the future of Atishi. Will she continue? Will she also leave the party along with Yogendra Yadav and Prashant Bhushan? There was fear within the party as well. She was removed overnight from being the spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party all the way in 2015. But then, at that time, Atishi made a dramatic turnaround. She wrote a public letter in which she castigated both Yogendra Yadav and Prashant Bhushan, saying that they are refusing to iron out differences, practically blaming Yogendra Yadav and Prashant Bhushan for not looking at the benefit of the party. And that was when she publicly sided with Arvind Kejriwal. And since then, it's only been an upwards journey for her, because since 2015, Arvind Kejriwal views her as a strong party loyalist, someone who has allegiance to him, and someone who's made that allegiance very clear, where she's left even those who were presumably closer to her at one point of time, who had actually been the ones who had brought her into the party.